Let's talk Sean Strickland defending his middleweight title in January against DDP Dricus Du Plessis. This is a gigantic fight for the middleweight division, and why I'm so excited about this matchup is the styles, the stories that these two guys have had to get to the point that they are currently in or fighting for, or whatever you want to call it, and where the trajectory of the middleweight division and the landscape moving forward. So let's hop right into this thing, which is the fact that we got to stop overlooking both of these gentlemen. And I've done that. I feel like everyone's kind of done that at some point in the career of Sean Strickland, because it's easy to get caught up in the BS with Strickland. You know, the way he talks, the way he acts, his style, the way he fights is odd. His stand-up striking, which I've been on the record saying is incredibly effective, which we could touch on here as we go throughout the video. But we got to give DDP his flowers, right? And, you know, I keep saying DDP because I got a bunch of South African fans on here, and they give me a hard time with pronouncing his name sometimes. But I think I got it right. Dricus Du Plessis. But DDP. Anyway, DDP is a stud. The guy's able to switch stances. His striking is improving every time we see him. I feel like every time we see DDP, man, the guy's something's gotten better, whether it's the gas tank, it's the grappling, it's the striking. He's always had the power. He's a big guy for the weight class. We kind of, after his victory over Darren Till, people were not ready to pull the trigger. They're like, yeah, but you did it to Till. Till's been on kind of the downfall, and then he goes in there and just obliterates Robert Whitaker, right? And I'm a huge Robert Whitaker fan. I like Robert Whitaker. I mean, just how can you not like Robert Whitaker, right? A great dude, unique fighting style, fun to watch. And, you know, it was an interesting first round. And then in the second round, Dricus just was able to implement his game plan. And that's been the story of Dricus and DDP throughout this, his past few fights, is the ability of DDP to implement his game plan. And that's what he has become world class at, is executing his game plan and not letting you dictate the fight. And that's exactly what he did to Robert Whitaker. And if you go back and watch that matchup, Whitaker loves to operate in space, and he operates off of utilizing that jab, darting in and out. And then eventually when he starts to get your head moving around because you're trying to avoid the jab, then he starts to throw the cross behind it. And then we all know that signature 1-2 head kick that Whitaker throws. That's what he's ultimately setting you up for. And then he does like to throw that left hook, and Dricus shut all of that down. How? Crowding the space of Robert Whitaker, being defensively sound. Well, who just had a very similar performance in that regard, kind of like DDP, is Sean Strickland. And Sean Strickland going in there against Israel Adesanya doing what he did was just sensational. I don't think many people saw that coming. And if you did, maybe you're lying. That was a tailor-made matchup for Izzy, man. We can't, even if you don't like Izzy, that was a tailor-made matchup for Izzy, right? Or if you do like Izzy, I meant. It's a tailor-made matchup for Adesanya. On paper, you're like Strickland. We saw what happened with Alex. Granted, Izzy and Alex are very different style strikers, even though they're high level. It's just styles make fights. But at the end of the day, you see Strickland and you're like, he's just going to walk forward. Adesanya's going to kind of pick him apart, set him up, and maybe be able to catch him or just outpoint him. Sean Strickland once again improving and shutting down opponents' offense in terms of the striking. And we saw that with his ability, because Sean Strickland stands so straight up in his stance, and he kind of, relies on that Philly shell. He'll kind of catch with the hand here. He did a great job of keeping that, answering the phone, keeping that hand up, because, Adesanya was trying to throw that hook like Alex did. He did a very good job of protecting. Shots come here. He just kind of rolls and rolls off. He's in a very uncomfortable space where Sean is able to still press forward and pressure you while still being relatively defensively safe, where he's kind of in a boxing range, but not in kicking range. It's like he's in that very middle range that is very difficult to deal with. He's not all the way in, he's not all the way out, but he's enough there to where you're feeling his pressure, to where you're like, God, I can't get him off me. I got to move. And next thing you know, he's in your face. And what he was doing a great job of is, because he's straight up and down, he kind of just walks, brings his legs up in the air. He was checking the kicks of Adesanya well, blocking them very well, and then he was countering very well. He was waiting for Adesanya, and then he started to open up as the fight went. Strickland has a really good jab, that 1-2. When Izzy held his hands up, he knew that left hook Izzy was going to try and, bait him in and throw something. Strickland hit him with a good 1-2, was able to sit him down. This is just an interesting matchup, man. And I know I'm recapping what these two guys have just done. And the reason for that is they both have been able to implement their game plans and melt people. And that's what makes this matchup so interesting, is whose game plan is going to melt the other, because these are two guys that like to fight on the front foot. They like to be moving forward. They like to dictate the pace. You know, Dricus is a little bit more, DDP in the beginning of the fight is a lot more like, he's willing to kind of negotiate with you. You know what I mean? Like he's not set on coming forward. He's not setting on coming back. He tries to get a feel for everything. And then by the end of the first round, second round comes out, DDP's implementing his game plan, which is moving forward, switching stances, landing those good power shots. And the question is, can he do that against Strickland? And that's what we're going to find out. And the question is, can Strickland stay moving forward while being safe against the offensive DDP and then the takedown of DDP? Because we saw DDP was able to take down Whitaker. Is he going to be able to do that against Strickland? I don't know. We haven't seen Strickland's takedown defense tested too much at middleweight. You know, we saw it back in the day at 170 against Usman. We've seen some things there. There's rumors, I shouldn't say rumors, but it's out there with Jocko Willink and these guys saying Sean Strickland's the real deal on the ground. We got to go off of what we hear there that he is, but we also have to go off of what we've seen in the octagon, which is not a lot of that. So that's kind of still the big question mark surrounding this matchup. But in terms of cardio, I think it's even. I think Dricus, he looks tired a lot of the time, but I don't know how actually fatigued he is because he's able to fight through that. The guy's got heart, but I mean, all these fighters have heart, man. But he's able to kind of push through it. He's able to get things done. And I just think overall this is going to be a really intriguing matchup. I'd be curious to hear what you all think, who you're leaning towards in this matchup. I think I'm leaning towards DDP, but again, can't overlook either one of these guys. I think this is a 50-50 matchup, a pick'em, truly. And I just see this being a really interesting fight. I don't know if anyone gets finished. This might go the distance. Or we could see someone getting finished because of how aggressive both of these guys are and so adamant about implementing their game plan to get the job done. But what do you all think? Like, subscribe, help your boy out. I appreciate you all. Drop your early predictions below. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.